Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Bethany Brings Books. So this video, I'm going to go ahead and get this recorded because it's already almost halfway through December and I haven't done my December wrap-up, or November wrap-up. We've just had sickness and different things off and on, so I sound hoarse. I'm going to try to make it through this video, but talked about it over on my Instagram. I completely lost my voice Sunday. I don't know what, I had some kind of cold issues. I don't know what it was. Something, must have been some kind of virus. But
it was Sunday night.
Anyway, I still sound hoarse, so please excuse that. And if y'all notice my t-shirt, I just got this today. I was inspired by Amanda and all of her cute t-shirts, so this one came today. I got one. She wears these cute t-shirts all the time, so I was like, I want one with all the little, this one has like little gingerbread houses and stuff. So anyway, and y'all will see my cats back there. They're washing each other. To quickly talk about what I read in November and try to not wear out my voice. So I did not read a ton, or I didn't finish a ton of books. The first book that I read was The Mistletoe Countess by Pepper Basham. This was a reread for me. I read it last Christmas, or right after last Christmas I finished it.
Hi.
Buddy read this with Oshina, Holly, Bailey, and Caitlin. And it was also cool because Pepper Basham saw that we were doing a buddy read and was interested in joining in the conversation. So she was also in our conversation, and we got to talk to her about the book too while we were reading it. So that was really cool. Yeah, so like I said, I read this last year. I gave it 5 stars. I gave it 5 stars again this year. I think I enjoyed it even more this year. It follows a young lady who ends up taking the place of her sister in an arranged marriage to an Englishman. She is a American, and it's set right around 1914. And so she ends up, getting taken back to England with him, moving back to England with him to his estate. There's a mystery element involving the death of his brother who died prior to the book, and there's just some mystery things going on. Grace is very young. She's 18, and so she's very immature to the ways of the world. So we see her as Frederick, which is Frederick and Grace, and he's kind of he's experiencing all of her innocence and grace and just beauty in which she views life, and the innocent way that she sees life, and she's teaching him so much, but then at the same time, she's also learning, and her faith in God is being deepened, and I love it. I love the marriage of convenience story that it is, because it's not like they're at odds. They endeavor to be friends and to make their relationship work. And then Grace is just so funny. I was laughing, especially towards the end. Some of the things that happened, I just was laughing so hard. And I actually was just approved to read on NetGalley the sequel to this that's coming out. It's coming out February the 1st, I think, or right around the 1st, a week of February. The Cairo Curse, and I've already started reading it on NetGalley and loving it so far. So yes, I love this book. I know some of the girls in our group, I think everybody pretty much enjoyed it, but I know some of the girls had some issues with some of the the romantic aspects of it. They are a newly married couple, and so we see them eventually she is just very innocent. Is kind of teaching her what it means to love each other and how a relationship works between a man and a woman. It is heavier on the romance aspect in that area, but I like how Pepper glorifies God in this, and she does it in a beautiful way that's not explicit and also not indecent.
Let's go.
For me personally, I guess she just shows the beauty of it in the way that I feel like it's meant to be shown. So, yeah, but I do understand where, like, everybody has their own convictions, like on what they're comfortable with and not comfortable with. And so I definitely think that that some people would have an issue with it, and I know some people in our group kind of they did, and they weren't like particularly a fan of all of some of those aspects. But like I said, yeah, everybody has their own convictions in those areas, and it was, like I said earlier, it was between a married couple, and it wasn't anything explicit, but it was just a little more detailed than you see in your typical Christian fiction romance. I hope all that made sense. I'm sorry, my kids were distracting me a little bit, but I hope everything that I said made sense. And I want to say that, like, I absolutely respect every person's convictions on what they read, and because I have my own convictions, and I definitely never want to, go beyond the bounds of what is safe for me to read and what is appropriate for me as a Christian. It's something that I still pray about, still ask God to give me guidance and wisdom, so that I don't go anywhere like in areas that might be tempting to me, or areas that I shouldn't be reading. So I'm glad that each of us are, making those choices to honor God with the things we read and to be obedient to the convictions that He gives us. So I just want to throw that in here. But so I read that, and then I read To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. It was a gift to me from Bailey's mom. This is her favorite book, and so she saw that I wanted to read it, and she gifted it to me, and I really enjoyed this so much. It's on my list of books, like top books that I read this year. I would also put it on the list probably of books you should read, like one of the classics you should definitely read. I think this is actually considered more of a modern classic, but there's just so much in it, so much to consider and to think about. It has some language, which of course I don't care for. I'm not a fan of that. It's just a story that I don't even know how to explain it. I don't know. You see like the simplicity of the South in that time period. Like, I think it's based in the 1930s. But you also see the complexity of, like, you had the racial division and how hard it was to be a Black person living in the South in that time period. And, life in a lot of ways was simpler then for a lot of people, but then for other people it was a lot harder, and you had to be careful of what you said and what you did, and because everything could have easily been turned against you. And so there's just so much from this that really it gave me a lot to think about, I guess. Is that what I'm trying to say? Just Atticus Finch and how he stood up for what he believed in. It was sad, like the way parts of it turned out. It was so sad and like heartbreaking. But then at the same time, it made me think about like the realities of things like that did happen. And so I'm sure most of y'all probably know what this is about. We have like this little girl and her brother who it's basically told from like their point of view, the little girl's point of view. And it takes place like over a summer. Kind of. Well, it starts off when she's younger, and then the main chunk of the book takes place over like a summer or whatever, when she's just a little bit older. And we see her like watching and seeing the experience of what her father is going through as he is defending a young Black man who was accused of rape. And we see like just the whole story of that, of what happened with it and where it goes. And yeah, it's kind of heartbreaking, but at the same time it really gives you a lot to think about, and I would love to read it again just to, I feel like it has so many elements and layers and like undertones that you could pull out the more often you read it. At least that's the way it felt to me. Like, there would be something to learn from it each time you read it, just from some of the ways she wrote the characters and the things that they thought and felt, and the things that at times weren't explicitly stated but were more implied, and like just the feelings and things like that, if that makes sense. So yes, I'm so glad that Miss Becky gifted this to me, and I really enjoyed reading it. I see why it won a Pulitzer, because it's definitely very thought-provoking and made me think. Another book that I finished, don't have a copy of it anymore because one of my family members was wanting to read it as well. So after I read it, I didn't think I would probably reread it, so I sold it to her. But a book. There's like a singer who sings gospel music. Her name is Kelly Crabb. She used to be part of the Bowling family, and a couple of years ago she went through a really hard time in her life, a major divorce, and like musically it broke up her musical, like her, because her and her husband and their children sang together. So everything that happened, it was very hard situation for her to go through, and she kind of wrote a short book just talking about her experience and where God had brought her from and everything she had gone through. And so I read that. I enjoyed that one. I don't want to say enjoyed. I didn't enjoy, like, like I enjoyed it in the way, in the manner that, like, some of the things she went through I could empathize with. Even though I've never went through divorce, but I have gone through loss and having to face shattered dreams and the realization of things that you're never going to get back. And so I related to a lot of it. And that one I think that one was called This Is My Story, I think is what it was called. And then I read by Tia Lau, I'm not sure how you say her name, but I read a little short holiday novella, short story, whatever. I'm not really sure what it would be. It was really short, so I'm not really sure what it would be classified as, but it was called The Holiday Hunt. Really cute story. It was about this girl she was hired as the town, I think she was hired to work on the town chamber, and there's like this guy in the town that his family has a farm or something, and she's just like silently had a crush on him for like the whole year that she's been at work there. And so we follow them. It's a novella, but it follows like several different Christmases. Like something happens and then say like the next Christmas, and it's super cute, and just kind of like her finally, like, she has this huge crush on him and she's trying to figure out what to do about it. And I was gonna make myself some tea before I did this video and forgot, and so let her pepper. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, the girl is like, she's like trying to revitalize the community through like the Christmas program, and so it was a really cute, sweet, short little story, very short. You could read it in probably an hour or less if you read really fast. I'm sure you can read it less than that. Yeah, it was just super cute. I read it. I think it was. I don't even know. I don't remember if it was free or really cheap on Amazon, the ebook. So I read that. Something else that I have not finished yet, but that I did read quite a bit in, or I read a good portion in, was Anne of Wendy Poplars. This is the 4th book in the Anne of Green Gables series, and I think I'm on 15. I had read a few pages in it, but I just restarted it because it had been a while. I'm trying to work my way through this series. I know I'm not going to finish the series this year, but hopefully next year. This is book 4, and I'm really enjoying it. We're seeing Anne as she part of it is like her writing letters to Gilbert, but she's off working as a teacher at or as the principal at Summerside High School, and so she's dealing with some of the things as the town the town is like really populated by this main family, the Pringles, and so some of them were wanting like one of their family members to get the position, and she's having to deal with all of that. But yes, it's got all of the fun, quirky characters and the cozy vibes. I also read A Holiday by Gaslight, I think is what it's called, by Mimi Matthews. Another Christmas short story. It was a fun, lighthearted read. The cover is gorgeous. Like, the cover, I think, honestly, the cover is probably my favorite part of the book. But, yeah, it's your short, cute Christmas read. Like, as soon as the book opens up, we see her breaking off her relationship with this man. She has like a title, I don't remember what she is. And the man has worked himself up. Is he a lawyer? I don't remember if he's a lawyer. He's some kind of business person. He's worked himself up from like really, really poor. And so he's wealthy. And that's why they were kind of matched together. But she's decided like she's not interested in him because he's too boring and she don't want to continue the relationship. And he has tried like their whole relationship to kind of follow the etiquette rules and do everything properly, and then he realizes like when she breaks it off that he shouldn't have like used all those tips. He should have just kind of tried to be more of himself. And so it's just like a story about that, like how they decide to think over their position of their relationship, and they're gonna do like over the course of 10 days or something. They're gonna go celebrate like the holidays. Her family's having like this holiday party at their estate, and so they're gonna try to just get to know each other better and see how they feel after the Christmas is over. Very cute, all the Christmas vibes. There's Christmas decorating at the estate and sleigh rides and hunting for mistletoe. It does have some language in it, which I don't care for. This was the second time I've tried Mimi Matthews, and that was why I DNF'd her before, because she has language. I don't know about her other ones, but this one, the language was light, like it wasn't heavy language as far as like the words used, if y'all understand what I'm saying, but it was kind of frequent and it was pointless. Like, I was like, it felt like she just threw it in there for the for like effect, I guess. So yeah, that was the one thing I didn't like with it, and like why I don't really care for Mimi Matthews. Like, she writes really well. I have like a few free ebooks on my tablet that I'll probably try again one day and see how those are, but overall I don't plan to just buy her books, because that was like the issue that I had, was that she puts a lot of useless language in it. And I know like there are so many clean Regency authors I know that don't include language either, that I could read them. So anyway, that's the point. The book, the story itself was a cute Christmas story. And if you want something to get you in the Christmas mood, that would definitely do it. Also, we have been buddy reading. Me and Holly from Lovely Day with Holly and Celestria have been buddy reading A Conspiracy of Ravens by Gilbert Morris. We were planning to buddy read this in November, and we did start it, but then we decided to extend it a little bit just because we all I guess we all kind of we decided to just give ourselves more time to read it. We're all reading like the holiday books and different things. So we are still budding reading this, and at this point I'm actually on page 214, so there's not a lot left to go. This is the second book in the Lady Trent mysteries. We read the first one together a couple months ago. And in this one, Lady Trent has one of her distant family members, or is it a friend? No, it's a friend, sorry. One of her family friends, they find out that she has kind of like recently helped solve a mystery, so they approach her about helping them with something that they have been approached by a priest about something that happened a long time ago in their lives. And so they go to Seraphina, Lady Trent, and ask her if she'll be willing to investigate this and help them work out this situation. I can't say a lot because spoilers, but it's interesting. It definitely has like the Sherlock feels to me. It's like that Victorian era, but it's got the mystery at the same time. And we see like Dylan Tremaine, who was in the last book. He was an actor. In this book, he is kind of like out of work because he doesn't want to appear in a play because of like he feels like the play is immoral. So he's also trying to like help her investigate a little bit, and it's just kind of continuing some of the relationships from the book prior to this. So enjoying reading this, and yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. This is the last one I'm going to talk about. This book, y'all. This book, y'all. I hope y'all that watched are still hanging around to see me talk about this book, because this book is like probably my favorite book that I read in November. I don't know. I mean, I love The Mistletoe Countess, but it was a reread, so this one was like new, and I love To Kill a Mockingbird, but this one I think is this one just, y'all. This book, it's like you want to hug it because it made me feel so good. So this book, Bailey and I buddy read the first book a month or so ago. Well, the first book was good, but it wasn't like, it didn't wow me like, oh my goodness, but it was good. I enjoyed it. And then the more time that I went away from it, I did enjoy it more, I think, and I kept thinking like I wanted to read the next one. So we decided we were going to read the next one. Also, Susan is a friend on Instagram, and she's in the comments on YouTube. She buddy read it with us as well, which was a lot of fun. Susan flew through it. She read it so fast. And I could see why, because like if I would have been able to do that too, I can see why. It's a really good book. But it's just so sweet. First of all, let's talk about the cover. The cover is gorgeous. Honestly, I think this is probably like one of my favorite covers of the year. It may be my favorite cover of the year. It's like so gorgeous. So this picks up from the last story. There are things in the last story that continue through this story, like elements of a mystery sort of, and they're not resolved in the story. But we see in this story, so we follow Indy, Indy Moore. She calls herself the messy Moore. Like, she feels like that she's kind of looked down on by her family as being the one that's always getting into trouble and having all the problems. And so she has like tried to be more mature, and she opened up her like a secondhand shop, or like where she fixes up furniture and things, and kind of like an antique shop sort of. And so at the start of this, we pick up where, in the last book, where Maggie has some health issues, and Indy, at this point, I'm trying to figure out how to say all this without being major spoilers from the first book, but anyway, Indy has like, something happens right before she gets the phone call about Maggie's health issues, and there is a man in her shop named Philip who volunteers to take her to the hospital because he sees that she's like really distressed, and so Maggie's at the hospital, so he volunteers to take her there. So they kind of meet during that experience, and then he had like went into her shop because he noticed her name, and there are some other issues with him, like a backstory of why he noticed her name, and he was like, I want to see what's going on here, because there's like a whole backstory about her last name and how he had been exposed to the name Maggie Moore before, and so he's trying to figure out, like, is she related to Maggie? So like all of that happens, and then like a couple of months go by, and Philip, his name is Philip, he is taking care of his like 15-year-old half-sister. Their mother died, I think, 6 months before, and they both live with their grandfather, who is like a very wealthy author. And so he's trying to figure out how to raise her and how to get her to open up to him, and kind of basically like how to build a relationship with her. So they take off some time, a couple of weeks, and he wants to try to just work on their relationship, and they go to Moore Harbor. And he kind of meets back up with Indy, and I'm trying to say all this without being spoilery. I know part of that is on the back of the book, so yeah. But Indy is working through her own issue. She has like some unexpected news from her past, like something comes back from her past, and she has unexpected news, things that she thought she had buried away. And we just see her sorting through all that, and that was like, it were so many elements to this story, like so many elements and themes, and so much deeper to it. I mean, we have like the stories of adoption and loss, and like, the loss of a parent and the loss of family, and like adoption, and that really gave it a lot of depth. I gave it 5 stars. It was so good. I think it was my favorite contemporary book that I read last year. It was so good and deep and so many elements, but at the same time it was so cozy and warm, and Philip was so sweet. So sweet. He was just adorable. And then the quotes in it, like, some of them touched my heart so deeply. There was one that I even put on I put in my review. There was just so many quotes that really touched my heart spiritually, like in a spiritual depth. Just some of the things that Indy goes through, and then like as her sister's talking to her at one point, kind of talking to her about how sometimes you learn to just kind of live, instead of asking God to take away the pain and the brokenness, you learn to live with it, and you ask God to be with you in it, and you learn to like live in it with God and experience his presence and learn his beauty in it. And that just, it spoke to me so much. Like, some of those quotes, I wish that I could remember all of them. If I would have been e-reading it, I would have underlined them. It was so insightful, and just that knowledge, and that I think is something that I've learned personally, and that I felt like she displayed it so well in this book, and as that knowledge that God don't always fix the pain, and he don't always like make everything right again, and everything don't turn out perfectly, but we can learn to, like, when we don't have all the answers and we don't understand why this happened, why he let this happen, we can learn to just live with him in the pain and live with him in the hurt and realize that he might not fix it all or take it all away, but he'll be there with us. And there was also a quote that from Augustine that Lillian, I cannot remember her name. She quoted to Indy from St. Augustine, and it said, "In my deepest wound, I saw your glory and it dazzled me." And that quote just stuck with me. Like, I'd never heard it before. But, that spoke to my heart so strongly because of everything that I've gone through. And, you know, losing my husband, that deep wound that I went through, still go through. But I saw the glory of God, and I still see the glory of God in it, and it has been so beautiful. So, yeah, guys, this book, I would definitely recommend reading. This book really showed me, and I knew it already, but this book really drove that point home of how much fiction, Christian fiction, can bless and speak and encourage. Because sometimes, you know, like, you feel like, am I wasting my time reading fiction? Or you feel like other people look down on you for reading fiction, or, you know, sometimes people give you some, like, you know, they'll kind of give you a hard time about it. But I've learned more and more, and then this book especially drove that point home, that fiction can truly speak to our hearts. And because this book really spoke to my heart. I'm still thinking about it. Still thinking about that stuff that I learned from it. And yeah, sorry guys, I know this is a long video. I don't know why it is. I think, oh, this is going to be a short video. I only read a few books, and then I end up talking about each book way longer than I should. But yeah, I'm glad y'all joined me. My voice is, it's probably going to be shot again tomorrow. But who knows? Anyway, I'm going to try to have some more videos coming out soon. Hopefully my voice won't be shot, and I can get some more videos filmed and coming out. But yeah, thank y'all guys for watching. I will talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.